5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Pan à la Carte. This is our Players Only edition. Today my special guest is Mr. George Goddard, the son of the legendary President George Goddard I. All right, we're going to do it nicely. This interview is going to be very interesting, intellectual. We're going to cross the T's, we're going to dot the I's and put our punctuations in place. All right, so we're going to welcome Mr. Goddard to Pan à la Carte Players Only. What's happening, my brother?
That's cool, Noel. Good to see you, man. It's been years, boy.
Since
music days, huh?
Oh gosh, the iMusic days, but you know, we was young men coming out and looking for that sauce, you know, the sauce. You must find the sauce. Yeah, all right, so welcome to Pan à la Carte.
What are you trying to say? Speak for yourself. I still young, you know.
All right, partner. All right, partner. All right, we're gonna do this interview today. We're going to do this interview and as I said, cross the T's and dot the I's. Mr. Goddard, you are the son of legendary George Goddard. All right, we all know that, right? That's correct?
Yes, his eldest, actually.
He's the eldest. So he's George Goddard #2.
Somewhat like that, yes.
All right, so tell us some more about you, Mr. Goddard II.
Well, like I say, you know, the legend, Sonny Goddard, George Sonny Goddard's eldest son. He basically had 4 sons, and named all 4 of us George. And this was before George Foreman did it. And I was born in Malik, Barataria of 6th Avenue, actually, when I was born in 1961. Our next door neighbor at the time was the legend pan icon, Mr. Neville Jules. And for those who lived on 2nd Street, Malik Barataria, in those days will know that 2 of the strictest parents, 2 of the strictest fathers on 2nd Street, and probably the whole of Malik Barataria, happened to be 2 pan men. And they would think that pan men, you know, if they had a Bajan vagabond kind of reputation, especially from their days, but they weren't that. 2 of the most disciplined, strictest fathers that I ever encountered in my life. I'm not kidding. Was my dad and our next door neighbor. I think it was 19 2nd Street. He was at. We was 17 2nd Street. Was Neville Jules. So I was born in Malik, and then they eventually moved to the Vale. That's, you know. So when we knew each other, at that time I was like in my late teens, early 20s. I was in Diamond Vale at that time, and I met you through, of course, another legend in my mind, Edmey Gibbons, who we all know as Gazo.
Yes. Edmey Gibbons.
Right.
Licensed officer, man, the basketball department.
And hold on. No, let people let them know about you, you know. Let people know about you too, you know, Noel, because as you guys will give me the inspiration to already start to play pan in Meritones, you know, because the year before, when you all was in with iMusic, but this was Bellies and Wayne Hackett. I mean, Wayne Hackett, I still to this day, he has some of the wickedest wrists I ever saw in my life. And you guys have Bellies and Bambi and them fellas and them, you know.
Yes.
And, you know, legend. So, you know, watching them guys and them under the shed and coming back in the shed under the Veil. I know you used to come down there and check them sometime too. I'll be under
the Veil. I come down there. I must come down the sweat. I must come follow.
Yeah, so enough respect as you guys really give me the confidence. You know, it was through Bellies and Gazo and Hackett and them guys, and them was really kind of drilling me and helped me prepare. I went post Panorama. I played was 3 weeks before Panorama, you know, with Meritones, and I ended up making the side. So, you know, thanks again, you know.
All right, so let me move on.
Yeah.
Let me move on. What was your biggest influence, or who was your biggest influence?
In life, you mean in general in life, or
in the pan already? But besides it, I'm gonna give you some tips there and thing, right? But it must have an influence. I guess it wasn't your father. He gave influence
Well,
otherwise.
I have to be honest with you, I have many influences as a musician because I don't marginalize myself to say well pan man per se because if you look, I have a studio, I have keyboards and all kind of stuff around me. I started to pick up the recorder wind instrument because eventually I want to buy a flute and my favorite instrument when I was a kid was actually saxophone and specifically the tenor sax. And because I didn't have those opportunities to play it, I never got into it, and probably that's what kept me away from really getting into music on that level as a child. But I was around it because when I was born, my father was the president of the Steel Band Association, and then in 1966 they have I think somewhere around there you had the first panorama, the first national steel band, all these type of things happening. So I was around all of these things. The Calypsonians were heavily involved with the steel band men. They had a very close relationship. So many of these old Calypsonians like Terror and Roy and Lion, they were literally like uncles to me. Blakey, who used to live in Mount Hope, Monkdor, up there going up on that side because at that time we were still in the east. And the Terror was living up in the east too. A lot of these guys used to go down in the market. Them time Roy and Lion was a meat man. He used to sell goat. He used to go and buy the goat and the meat and thing, from Roy Lion, and he and Daddy used to stand up there and talk. So they had a very close relationship, and I had a big respect for my father. So, and then I growing up now seeing the first Steel Band Association when they had a very first,
Don't go there yet. Don't go there yet. Don't
yeah.
go there yet. Hold on with that Steel Band Association. All right, let me go back to that little story I was talking there. All right, with all of that, Neville Jules and your dad, Mr. Goddard,
Mm-hmm.
used to hang out and thing out.
But not
What
really,
that movement?
not really, Neville Jules and Daddy, I don't know, for whatever reason, and because neither men discussed it, but I never see them like really be chummy with each other. I could tell that they both had a mutual respect for each other and what they were doing. I mean, because Catelli All Stars is legendary, and then after that, by that time, I think shortly after that, before, if I'm not mistaken, before we even left Barataria, Neville Jules had already immigrated to New York, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it was a very short, and then we ourselves moved out of Malik and moved to Diamond Vale, so, but no, they never really hung out or anything, but, there was a mutual respect, definitely. I recognized that even as a child,
Okay. And also, you also mentioned about the Calypsonians and the Pan relationship. Tell us about that. How it used to be? Was it DJs deciding with the best tune to play, or who it was? Was it the people? Who? How it used to be? Tell me.
Boy, you're trying to you're time stamping me, like people again with my age. Well, like I say, like that period of time that I could remember as a young man first starting off in Malik and then moving in the Vale where we happen to live on Opal Gardens now, and now we end up at Chalkdust. Chalkdust was our neighbor in Diamond Vale. So it's like running into it, and like I said, the Calypsonians and they depended heavily on the steel bands popularizing their calypsos for the year, so you would find that they would be seeking out. As a matter of fact, a lot of steel bands, through the association, actually had to create laws in their constitution and bylaws and things like that to stop the Calypsonians from trying to call. What they would do, the Calypsonians would try to go and before the season or before the time, they were trying to give band size their tune ahead of time, because I think they had a certain them days. They have a certain time where they could have received the tunes or some type of thing like that was going on. So it was a kind of like it was clear that these Calypsonians were definitely dependent on the steel bands. But I think it was deeper than that. It was just like they all came out of the same, what Dr. Gordon Roller referred to as Jamet Mass. So you find that they were in the same environment, in the same environment, would probably meet at the tenement yards where my father, by the way, grew up in Picton Street, where Alexander Ragtime Band would have been formed. And you find that, and by the way, my father was actually born on East Roy River. You know, right all by the river. He was my father was actually a Lavantel man, born in Lavantel and then moved to Newtown, Barataria.
But just for the history's sake, most cultural legends came out from behind the bridge.
Yep. But my father's a product of born right there, behind the bridge right there.
Yeah, because behind the bridge has a lot of history, right? A lot of history. The time of freedom has
up Lavantel Hill. You ever heard of the lamp lighters? The lamp lighters. This is pre-independence Trinidad, where they were. I mean, like guys like you and me, with most of them, like including my dad. I'll share with you. Just to switch the subject a little. And even though, like I said, I eventually went on and got my bachelor degree in music. I always, in the back of my head, always stuck to me with something my dad said. He says that when a donkey goes to college, it will never come back as a horse. The only thing it will come back as is an educated jackass. And I totally understood what my dad meant by that. What happened is that you find that he had that kind of falling out with many people who were intellectually qualified and things like that, but for political and other reasons. For example, when they came out with a whole bunch of calypsos came out about giving Winston Simon as the inventor of the steel pan. You understand? When he of himself said he didn't know who first started it in interviews that others held with him. You know, so it was clear that the instrument, the invention of the steel pan, you understand, which again it evolved and became this chromatic, almost perfectly tuned, as they might say, chromatic instrument arranged, and the instrument that we play arranged in this cycle of fourths or cycle of fifths. Yes. You know, excuse me. I just have one more stage because the light in my eye. So I do apologize for that. So you find that, you know, it always stood in the back of my mind that we had to be as musicians and as pan players, panists, whatever you want to call us, because I'm like, it doesn't matter what you call me as long as you call me, you know. But we must be grounded in our roots, in our past, and understanding. And this is the disconnect. And this is why the culture has reached to where it is today. This is why the culture vultures, and I ain't gonna call no names because this interview, trust me, Noel, they don't understand. If Muhammad Ali says that a man who thinks the same way when he's age 60, I'm paraphrasing now, as he did when he was age 40, you know, wasted 20 years of his life. It might be worse to the effect. In other words, a person is supposed to mature and so on. And I certainly have matured from the first time I came on the public scene in the pan world after graduating from Flomo. You know, I was very, I'll be honest with you, bitter and angry because of the marginalization that they did and gave to not just my father alone, but many other pan pioneers, including Mr. who died recently, Mr. Hubert, you know, and you know, many others. I've seen many come and go on. I see Clive Bradley. I pull Clive Bradley off of the street on Diego Martin Main Road and pull him down when me and my brother, you could ask anyone. We bought our first computer home studio. You understand? Like in the same time that I music came out, around those times there. We bought it from Wayne Bruno, who does play bass in Trinidad. We bought our first home studio. So I was working with computers and music from all those times. I've always been technologically, competent. You know, always been. About that, if you look, watch it. People think that next thing, people are kind of think all kind of assumptions and think about all this freshwater Yankee and you're talking proper and this and that. I know when we having an interview here. Why? Because I having an interview with an old friend. I shall resort to try to impress you that I more. So what going on, boy? And I not into that. I don't have a time and a place for that, right? And you go only look back at any interview with George Goddard and you'll see George Goddard was on the most. And my father never even step up foot in secondary school. He graduated my father, the highest education George Sonny Goddard had, the author of one of the greatest, most respected books on the history of the steel band. The highest education that man had was a post-primary education. Never went to high school or secondary school, much less college. But he reminded me, who eventually went on and stood on his shoulders. Because without his shoulders, I would have never had a degree.
I hear you.
You understand? And many others. Without his shoulders, Clifford Alexis would have never been able to form the Northern Illinois Steel Band. History.
I hear you. History. People, you're
So
on pan a la carte,
right. So
players only.
the message of this section is that when a donkey goes to college, to quote George Goddard, you will never yield a horse. All you will end up with is an educated jackass. And you have many educated jackasses, I ain't calling no names, writing books saying this and that, going wrong and together, and you understand they're on all kind of all kind of gullible travels, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, you know.
All right, but I know
it's amazing. It's amazing that we are here to clarify some of these issues, because I have a problem with some of the people who are talking and blogging and things. Because when coming to pan, when I started to prepare, I was in primary school, Newton Boys Secondary, right? And I can recall at the age of 4, I wanted to be like my father and his friends. And I grew up with his friends.
Right.
All were big men. I was the youngest boy. I was the kid. I was like everybody's son. I was the protected one, right? So it have certain things in the steel band industry where that people feel that the little boy who used to run around or walk around wasn't paying attention.
Exactly.
And I see them, and as the older I get, I see them doing the same thing every year, and every year, and every year the same mistakes, and still, men ain't getting nothing, money missing, money short. This is the same story. So,
example of that, Noel, you know, that is eater food, the eater food thing.
Yeah, and this is almost 4 decades later. This is 4 decades of my life. You understand? I see this, right? How? So where this go? With your contribution, I have a problem with this kind of type of people, right? Not calling names. Whoever the cap fit, it fit, because it continued to happen year in. Imagine, for my contribution to my art form, since 1975, my first panorama, placed 6 in the panorama, Trintok Invaders, right? They throwing me out of the grandstand. They don't want me come in. One of the executives called police, say I am using them verbally, using obscene language, and all I wanted was to do was get my flyer to the announcer to announce the program. You understand? So this program, you know, players only, many are called, but few would be chosen. Right? For that same reason. You gotta get the thing right and get real and have a real conversation. So let me move on. We're moving on now. So when I get to realize how your career starts, I get to realize who is the influence and what is the influence. Right? But I want to know how do you go about seeking your opportunities, your jobs, your gigs? Let me pass on some information to the younger ones, or the ones who feel they know. All right? Because there are plenty of them never play, but they know. Right? Plenty of them is not professional. They're not professionally inclined. They hasn't contributed to the situation, but they know. But anyways, you give me your point of view. How you go about your opportunity?
Well, I have different ways about going about it. Well, of course, over the years in South Florida here, I have a few clients that I have developed relationships with. So I would have like regular gigs, which I mean, kind of pretty much right now, I kind of like not so much focused on gigging right now, because actually, you know, I am more focused on building a brand and building a business. And because of that, this is what made me start a company called Panicle USA. And I actually have a couple invention ideas that are pan related. One of them I actually had with the US Patent Office. And I'm working with the Invent Help people on another one right now. So it's just fun. You know, right now I'm just working on funding and things. And this is good. This is going to change and revolutionize the steel band as an industry. But like I said, I always stay, and there's the whole purpose behind even the name Panicle. Panicle really is a name that I took from botany. And it really is a type of the way certain type of plants bud basically. And you know, basically the concept of Panicle is that we are rooted, but each one of us is still autonomous and self-reliant, you know. And this is why I had a town hall meeting, because when I had a town, I am results oriented, you know, and you know, so to answer your question, I'm not so much. I have gigs that I get through referrals, through established clients, and sometimes just, you know, knocking doors, right, knocking doors when I have to, when I feel the need to, or sometimes you're just looking to, you know,
Do you
get out
teach?
there.
Do you
I
teach?
I teach privately. I don't currently don't have any students right now. Or of course we have the lockdown and
COVID-19.
things like that too,
Okay.
right? But I give you. I'm sorry I couldn't turn around my camera and show you. Maybe I could probably just, but I currently have, as you can see, okay, I have a whole bunch of entire 10-piece steel pan set. This is my keyboards over here, things like that.
So you have your whole band in your studio.
I have a whole 10-piece steel band in my living room, right? Pretty much in my living room right now, with the pans all alongside the wall right now. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Because so you know, this is my culture. I basically, you know, it is the struggle as a musician. You try to deny it and run away from it because it's a struggle and it's a passion. You know.
And with that passion you have for the instrument, the art form, the music. If if you weren't a pianist now, present, doing that, what job you think you might have been doing, or what kind of person you might have been? A politician, uh, a revolutionary person, or what? An office guy? What?
Hmm. Well, I mean, if I wasn't a musician, if I wasn't a pan player, I'd probably be a musician playing another instrument. You
Right.
know,
All right. So
but other than
eliminate
that,
musician.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if I wasn't a musician, most likely I'd be some type of like I'd be doing something like teaching, um, mentoring, entrepreneurship, um,
Right.
things like that, which is things that, you know, things like that, you know. But most likely I'd probably be a teacher, called, like, you know, most likely I'd be that a professor or
All right.
some
So
boring
you ever
man.
see yourself being being the president of Panchimbigo, replacing your dad one day? No.
Nah.
You think if I had on unfinished business with Panchimbigo as
No,
a
but
person?
I think George Sonny Goddard did all that he could have done. You know,
Mhm.
life is a relay, and you know, no, you know, I mean, even Jordan had his day. You know, you know, what I tell people to do is, while you're honoring others, including those to come, that you remind yourself of two things: that those who are coming and those who are here are standing on the shoulders of giants. One,
No,
and
you always have to remember the ones before us, because
right,
them is the ones who start the thing. Them is
one,
the
right,
ones who
right,
take the insults. Them is the ones
exactly,
take the lock up,
right.
the false criminal record.
Hmm.
All right. And
And
and we
the
always have
second
to
thing too,
remember those.
and
Yeah.
the second thing too is that we have to do is that, because especially we live in an environment, in a world of false news and fake news, and people say this and that and all kind of stuff. So we must be able to separate fact from fiction, and we must be able,
Correct.
when we give credit to those pioneers, we must be able to line up all of their accomplishments. Like, I can clearly tell people, okay, my father is the person who started the first steel band Panorama. My father, is because I could tell people, is because the Trinidad Music Association decided that they wouldn't have a steel band class in their music festival in
Thank you.
1966.
Thank you.
That is how the steel band festival came about. And again, because Trinidadians so myopic, they changed that name and then it became Pan is Beautiful, Pan is Beautiful. And that's one of the mistakes they make, by the way. Noel, everybody sort of focus on the instrument, you know. Or Pan, or even me boy Bugsy do something for Pan. Pan don't have to pay rent,
Telling me about it,
right?
telling me about it.
Do
But he don't
something. And
speak so.
this is
Yeah.
why George Goddard, I want to line it up and you can see, we can clearly see the things that George Sonny Goddard did for the culture and even individuals. Even individuals. There was a short period of time that we lived in Mova. I don't know how much more time we have. How much more time we're working with?
But I lost track. I said, watch the clock. We have about 15 more minutes.
15?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So anyway, I was telling you, my father was the kind of leader for Pan. I'll give you a quick story. These are things that I never knew about. Because when we were young, my father didn't want his 4 sons in Pan. He didn't want us. He said, like, because he know the kind of life that he came out of growing up in tenement yard. He know the kind of lifestyle that was in that, and he didn't want that for his 4 sons, to be honest with you.
As I talk about tenement yard, tell the viewers, right, where the culture really manifests from. What kind of yard it manifested from? The calypso, the pan.
From the barracks yard, the tenements yards, and the environments of Port of Spain, Newtown and East River and place.
In these yards, what kind of people used to live in these yards besides low-income people?
Mostly black people. You have 1 or 2 poor East Indians and so on as well. But it was mostly poor black people. But you have to understand, this is what was so beautiful about this place in Trinidad and Tobago called Newtown. In Newtown, the professor or the rich Stallmeyer, this one who have the big house up the road in what they call that place when they're going up to Baravalde, with them hanging out with these same guys from the tenement yard. You understand? So, in a strange kind of way, the steel band in them days really didn't have a class separation, you know. The class separation came from the society that was separating them, you know. But the rebellious white boy and them, you understand, was recognizing. There's nothing wrong with these black fellas, these guys and them in this tenement and about going on. There's where all the action in Trinidad was going on. When Christmas time and Carnival time and rhythm start playing and them Orisha beats start beating on them things. You understand? And people start feeling thing and mad stick fighting going on and all kind of thing.
And the ragtime band.
And the Alexander ragtime band, when you understand? Well, and that's what I'm saying, you know, again, according to the research, and this is where even the chief, Akbar, you understand? When we had the tongue about and Chief Akbar come out and show us the founders, Freddie Maroon and these founders of Alexander ragtime band, and as the earliest recorded, documented steel band in Trinidad, what you could call a steel band in Trinidad. You understand? Yeah. And all the reputable sources say that. You understand?
So my grandmother said that too. My grandmother told me that.
And this, you understand? So this is you know, this is Trinidad history. But again, you know, it will have other different theories and this and that and so on, and people will say this. But to me, at this point, what I think is important is that we're able to separate what we know as factual from what we know is not factual. And we haven't gotten to that point yet. Now, finally,
so Goddard, we had to move, right? But I really want to emphasize this, right? What do you think that aspiring young pan players could pay attention to, could make them in a better position? Do you think they should understand the history clearly first before they start to talk about being crap shot or being better than this one and better than this one? Do you think that kind of conversation is worthy also?
Look, I could tell you something. One of the young musicians that really, really impressed me today happened to be Leon Foster Thomas.
I hear.
And you know why Leon impresses me? 2 reasons. He comes over, one, as very, very, very humble, at least to me. A very humble person, 1. And 2, he understands that it's on the shoulders of giants that he stands on. Let me tell you something, Noel. And he introduced, who is through him, I got to meet the professor, Ken Professor Fillmore. May he continue to rest in peace. Let me tell you something. When I see how Professor came home and we met my wife, came home by us and things like that, he and I started to record a jazz song. before he passed away. This was years ago. We started working, he came in my studio and so on. And when I started, I just like how you interviewing me, I was doing that kind of quick, just basic interview without any cameras or anything, just asking Professor about things. I said, let me tell you something. Professor was one of the hardest working fan players.
Correct.
Let me tell you, that man used to wake up. He used to handle. One thing I realized about him, and I learned from him, and I think that's what Leon kind of pick up a little bit from him too. He used to run himself like a business. So when Professor wake up in the morning from such and such a time, this time to this time, this is what he's doing towards his craft practice. From this time to this time, it's like I say, reaching out to if he had a gig, go bam, bam, bam. This time he do his business part. This time he go back to practice. And his day was like that, like if he was in an office. Professor was one of the most professional fan players. So I will tell you,
any commitment.
Yeah, and this is what I say, Leon, I mean, regardless of what, he might not be I ain't having no best argument, because our best argument is a foolish argument we be having.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, anybody who know basketball, Michael Jordan wasn't the best basketball player in North America. Trust me. It have little boys that just didn't have the discipline, didn't have the opportunities, different things.
In that era. In that
era, is opportunity and chance, because he could have taken a different route. He could have taken a different route and end up like, let's say, being getting involved in drugs and take his career serious. And have guys who are the same talent. The point I'm making is a kind of luck, And so that's what I'm saying as we close, that the thing that we have to do is look, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I had a feature called On the Shoulders of Giants, and they mentioned that if it wasn't for this black man from St. Kitts, I forget his name right now, a lot of the black players, like even LeBron James and them, wouldn't be in the NBA today, or wouldn't be making the kind of money they make. It's this black man who never played basketball. And this was like George Goddard. George Goddard was not a fan player. When George Goddard left Alexander Ragtime Band to go to went to Invaders, the guys who was in Invaders at that time, like my father say, boy, them fellas and them, like, I don't know what Eddie Manette was doing. They take them like pan was like they went into the 22nd century. You understand? Went way ahead. By the time them went Oval Boys that come out after Alexander, right? Them was on a different level. So my father couldn't keep up with them young boys and Oval Boys. But Eddie Manette saw leadership skills in George Goddard. And that's where he asked George Goddard to be the manager of Oval Boys. And that's where Daddy decided to develop his management skills from that. But you see, because he was always an honest person, he will always speak truth to power and be honest, even if it's inconvenient or if any man grows or whatever. And he developed that so that when he says strike or when he says we go and do this or we go and do that, he kept his word. And if they didn't go against it, look, Despers, they talk about Despers. Despers boycott themselves and met at our house the night before the boycott is Despers, and they decided how much they were requesting for the appearance fees, and crossed the picket line and performed in the grandstand. That is history.
Yeah, that is history. I was present. Yeah, that is history. And we're moving on again.
Yes, my brother.
Besides, I want to add to this way, Jesse. This is really going on to them young people and them directly. Hear what the man say, right? He admire Leon Foster because of his humility
and his respect for tradition, for those who
understand. All that goes in the humility. Here we're going on to Foster is a djembe drummer, African drummer. His father was one of the leading drummers in Trinidad and Tobago.
He rooted.
He is connected, yes.
He's rooted. The ancestors' spirit is in him, and that is where Pan come from. That's where
and he's a phenomenal drum set. He is a phenomenal drum set player also.
Exactly.
He is all around drums.
And humble with it.
And humble.
But
right?
Let me tell you something. Let me give you a quick story. When I was in Flomo, he was there too. Let's finish it up.
Yes, he graduated under that program.
I was intimidated with them young boys and them with that guys like I was intimidated with them guys there.
You was with Freddie too? You was with Freddie?
All of them was there. And I was coming my whole self. Carry that liquor music. Right? I intimidated when I push the door so and I see all of them and I see Dr. Batson had them with music system in front of them and pling pling. I said, oh boy, I'm mash up in here, boy. I got my whole self and enroll. And here I tell you, Leon Foster was only the only person out of that whole young crew. The only person when I stop and I ask him to help me, would I stop and help me and teach and show and work with me patiently outside the band practice room. I'm not kidding you,
I hear you.
Seriously, you understand? So
I
that,
hear
you
you.
know, and he's a professional. The way, look at some, look at how he packages his music, how he packages himself. You
Same
know,
discipline.
this very, very
You know,
disciplined.
that when you adapt that discipline and you go on the circuit, you would understand you will understand musicianship. Because plenty of them don't understand is a different speech when you understand musicianship.
That language, boy.
That language is a different
That's why busy
vocabulary.
here, boy. I think it's joke. I
You
want to
understand?
get there, boy. I think it's joke. Watch me. This be my
You
studies and I
understand?
think, you know, I can see.
Yes, it's a different language.
Busting up my head.
Yes, it is.
You understand?
And it's not much of us
Put in
understand
your
it because they're
practice.
not teaching it. They're not teaching it. In fact, they cannot teach it. Right? They can't teach it. Right? So that's the problem with down Trinidad here with plenty, I find plenty of the young musicians coming up. They want it now. I know it was a way to turn and continue practicing. And it's when you come out, people just talk. Your music just talk. You understand? It's not easy to record 3 CDs or have a CD or do a CD. You understand? It is plenty work, plenty discipline. There's plenty doubt in yourself because the late
studying what to do around them chord changes. That will make musical sense. You know, so that you ain't just noodling and you're like, now I had a big conversation with people talk about Ramaje and this and that. I say, yeah, Ramaje all well and good and well and thing, but still, regardless of what you want to call it, it have to make musical sense.
Yes. Bertie Marshall told me something. He said, La Pierre, when I was doing my first CD, this is in 2000, he said, I'm glad you brought your instrument, right? But let me tell you something. Once you're going to do any live performance with live microphone, and you didn't bring your instrument to check, that flat note you're ignoring, right? Listen, the flat note you're ignoring, 50 years from now, somebody's going to be irritated by it. 100 years from now, that flat note you played 100 years ago is going to be irritating.
Good advice. Real talk.
You understand? So you know you have to do your homework and cross it before you go outside. You don't just put yourself outside for putting yourself sick, right? Because that will come back to haunt you, right? And people doesn't realize that that is
like we boy Bugsy. After we can't leave this conversation without mentioning we boy Bugsy at the end of the day, because I ain't telling you, I'd brother put in some music, man. I'd brother put in some music there that I'm telling you, man. It's like, you know, centuries from now, people will still be studying it.
Yes, correct.
You know? And this is why, again. So this is why you see. That's why I say, like my father say again. That's why it had 2 different ways. You understand? It had 2 different ways. It had the ways of the book, and it had the ways of the rote memory. You understand? And both are important.
The blessings from our energy, it ain't come normal, you know. It ain't nobody in the world ain't get it, you know. Everybody get it, but we get a different blend of it. Right? But we were selected to bring forward the only musical invention of the 20th, 21st century. Right? And going, it have nothing more to come. Right? But unfortunately, the instrument gone and the man's still there. How would you feel about an apology to all fan players who left us here, who was going on to the other side, who was called hooligan vagabond, who got the bad record or the criminal record for just talking to a woman, and all these kind of things, where that is still lingering presently. Hence the reason is so much a struggle for who plays the instrument. What do you think of an apology could help to very clear the air about that for the people and the people who just take the instrument?
Noel, you know, there's my revolutionary side coming out right now, eh?
Oh gosh.
There's my revolutionary side coming out right now. You see me? Anybody, like, as far as I'm concerned, apologies are okay, especially if they're really genuine, right? There's a personal thing. But at the end of the day, they might say, okay, you could keep your stinking apology, because at the end of the day, it's what we do. What we do. Look, I created and I shared with you. Remember, I created a blueprint, a steel pan blueprint. So what we could do, we have to organize. But the first thing, before you can organize, you have to inform yourself. You see, that's why I could always come back to, like I say, my father said, right? So when you inform yourself and you educate yourself about your culture, about your history, you know where it come from. You have an idea where you want to go. Then you could plan a roadmap to get there. You could never get from point A to point B without knowing where point A is and where point B is. If you only know where point B is and you don't know where point A is, you ain't gonna know how to get there. So if it's 2 points in life, anywhere you want to get in life, you just have to know. Keep it short and simple. Point A, know where point A is. This is where we come from. Point B, this is how we get there. Now, if you know this is how we get there, now we could plan a roadmap. Unfortunately, and the people do the same thing in their personal finances too. Unfortunately, what people do, they'd rather go and buy a scratch off or go and buy a playway and scratch it off because they leave their futures dependent on luck, right? Rather than planning. So you know, and so anything that stick, look, the PAN suffer from they try all these different leaders, including the present one. Look, I sent you documents. Check them out. I wrote in order to know you must things I've done on behalf of the current president of the Steelman Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
That's another. Wait, we have to get to that another episode for that one. Another episode for that one.
Not just them. So of course another episode. You understand? That's another story. You understand? So, but these are the things that that hampering, and until we could get there, and then we'll find the need. Again, go and read the blueprint. The blueprint that document is a public document that I published. You understand?
All right.
We learn to teach ourselves how to be self-reliant. How do we do that? I have a steel band. It could be 10 members. It could be 1,000 members. I don't care about the number. The first thing I go and do, I go in down in town and I register in that business as a non-profit organization. So the first thing I do it, right? The second thing I do it, you understand, is looking to go after, right, or create a written business plan and so on that would include a budget, and then I go and start to look for funding sources that might be available for non-profit organizations.
Let me tell you something. You see all of that, right? It works. But here we meet in Trinidad, you just meet somebody in that department, right? Who don't know what your plan is. You bring your plan, but they want to turn it around and tell you how your plan must be, and deny you and block your opportunity from going forward, right?
Yeah, that's an issue.
That is from true experience here, right? I run into that, and I can tell you, 10 years later, that disaster. It had nothing protecting you there. These institutions here locally in Trinidad and Tobago, it's just people just doing a job.
Yeah.
They have no ideas waiting. They have none. All right. But anyway, we had to wrap up here. You have anything to play or what? You have something to play there or?
When you say play, like shit.
Live pan. Where your pan?
Boy, let's see. Let's see if I can pull up
pull up something. Like what's something for the viewers. In the meantime, let me tell them you are watching here, Mr. George Goddard the second, right? Son of.
I know people hear this, you know. You might be able to hear this.
Right? We have him here today.
You heard that? You didn't hear that?
No.
Why not hearing this? You're not hearing no music there?
No, you have to put through the music to the song
system. I have to send it through the song system. 1 second.
Yeah. Right. So we have Mr. Goddard here. He gave us a lot of information about where the thing started from. The first Pancho office. He did tell me the first Pancho office. They didn't have no office. And then they went down to a red, white, and black wood building on Rice Road. That is in the 60s. All right, so you see a lot of information is coming here from players, right, who experience and who have experience.
How much time we have there? I wish you
tell me.
I wish you tell me wanted to put me to play.
How much time we got? Come back and get you on that, you know.
All right, let me set up because I don't have the I don't have it set because I just pull the studio mic and think that just do the interview. So give me a time. Yeah, give me a second. Give me a few seconds.
Yes. Players only. Pan a la carte. This is our second edition. We give thanks and praise to the viewers who have been watching on and logging on. I continue to look at those who watch Pan a la carte. So, may God bless each and every one of you. We're going to get Mr. Goddard back, and he's going to let go a tune or two. All right,
Yeah,
so
give me
God
like
bless.
give me 5 minutes.
All right, so stay tuned. But I think of that music. 3, 2, 1. We are back. We are back. We are back. I mean, this is the part where it's going to get a little nice here. All right, we're going to bring to you Mr. Goddard. He's going to give us a demonstration of the song. He's a player. He's out in South Florida there. All right, so let's bring on Mr. Goddard to do his due. We are on players only. Only on players only. Mr. Goddard.
Something I'm working on called that there, you know? Chords.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So still learning the chords on this, you know? Still, it's one of the latest.
Right, all right. This is
I've
one of
been
your
working on,
compositions.
still learning it. And that's what I say, there's the kind of music that, you know, really drive me, you know? That I really like, you know?
So this is one of your compositions. Hey, George, is this one of your compositions?
Oh no, this is called That There. It's a jazz classic, man, called That There. Judged by one of the most famous versions is by a guy called Sonny Rollins.
Yes.
A couple other cats did it as well too.
All right. Well,
anyway,
here was that.
I hope you all enjoyed that little sample. I still, like I said, still is a work in progress. I'm finishing up learning on the chord changes on this. And once I'm done figuring out the chord changes, you know, on the keyboard, then I like to go to the keyboard because it gives me ideas of where to go on my pan, you know, in terms of that's freeing up. So
everybody, amen. What's next for you?
I just play, you know, I just play, I just hear, I just feel. I listen a lot, you know, I listen to a lot of different versions of it, different, you know, that's what I do, you know.
All right, so before we wrap up,
and of course, I can also go into this type of stuff too, you know. There I go, there I go, there I go, there I go.
Well, we have to wrap up now. Sorry about that, but people,
Pretty
we had in
baby.
the studio today. We had with the
Have a great day,
interview
y'all.
today,
Hey,
Mr.
Noel.
George Goddard.
Noel, this was
You
nice, man. We got
understand?
to do this again in a bit.
Yeah, we have plenty information still to talk about.
Yeah, we
All
got
right,
to do this
plenty
again, man.
information. Wrong roots information. Thank you very much. We heard him on the
Pleasure.
pad. We heard his story. We heard his life story in association with his father. All right, Mr. Goddard the first. All right, may he rest in peace still, and his blessings for his children to continue in their own legacy, which is also good, you know.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
my name is Noel La Pierre, and I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this today, and the
Well, I'm
information.
glad, man. I'm really glad, you know.
Yes, and for the world to know, right? You know, it's like this is what it is, right? Forget the stories. Once you get it live and directly from the main source, it has no
Well,
other version.
before we go,
Right?
Noel, I also want to tell you, let's all of us take a moment and wish a happy birthday to my old man too, because tomorrow is my old man's birthday. And
Oh,
if my
okay.
math served me correctly, he would have been 97 years old or something like that tomorrow.
Ah,
So,
shit. That's
um,
lovely. All right. So let's big up Mr. Goddard.
and Robert
Senior
Greenwich.
on
So
his
that's
birthday.
something he and Robert Greenwich have in common. Both of them born on the same date. But I know there's always big up Robert
Oh,
Greenwich.
look at that. That's shit.
Nobody ever big up George Goddard. So I go big up George Goddard and say, well, happy birthday, daddy. You understand? Song for my father. You understand? End up on this
I get
one.
it.
Song for my father.
Yes. All right. So, Goddard, we had to go. So, thank you very much again, brother. And we will link up. I will vibes you
Yeah.
offline.
Okay, no
All
problem.
right.
All right.
Thank you, brother. Thank you,
You
brother.
peace, man. Be good.
Peace. 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 Yes. This is Noel up here in the house. Look at this thing. We're out of time. But I appreciate this with Mr. Goddard today. George Goddard the first, giving a lot of information. I appreciate all who logged on and having a good time and enjoying the information. All right. Tell everybody you heard it first. On Pan a la carte, players only. The #1 players only information show. Until, God bless.